karaoke night at Russell Station Bar and Grill that took place during the early night hours, maybe late evening to early night, because it's karaoke night technically started at 7 p.m. But we got there at 6 p.m. so I could order first some Barivian pretzel bites, and then some of the tacos they had, because it was a karaoke night, and they always have their karaoke nights on Tuesdays here at Russell Station. I sang a total of 6 songs. At first singing them, I think roughly 10 to 15 minutes in between. Because at the start of the karaoke night, at 7 p.m., there were hardly any singers. First I sang Yellow by Coldplay, then Soak Up the Sun by Sheryl Crow, then On the Road Again by Willie Nelson, then Oobla Dee Oobla Da by the Beatles, then That's Amore by Dean Martin, and then Lean on Me by Bill Withers. And that was the last song. In a karaoke night that lasted from 7 to 10 p.m. And their kitchen closes closed around 10, although they had the karaoke night last for an extra half hour. So that everyone who made a song request before the cutoff point could get to sing. This is a special that Russell Station had. Known as an offer in order of cheddar bites. I'm used to this sort of food essentially being little balls, so seeing them as little cubes is definitely something different. While I was there, I did some work on a new polystyrene project that Mom wants me to do for our upcoming Halloween party. In which I am using a polystyrene male head to draw Frankenstein's monster. Basing it off of a reference image that I found on my phone. I believe I have Google Chrome on mobile, Microsoft Edge on browser. Though I only really got to do a bit of the mouth and eyes during the whole night between the frequent amount of times that I was up on the little wooden stage for the karaoke night. The same stage they usually reserve for live bands, I think. Although people did like my singing at karaoke. I think at the start of the karaoke night, there were a few singers, and then a little more as we got into the middle of the karaoke night. And then I think people did leave. But for some reason, the number of singers stayed the same after the increase during the early parts of the karaoke night. I went from having essentially barely time to breathe between songs to a considerable break. It seemed to me. There were points in which I thought I would hit or even exceed the record of 7. But it ended up staying at around, it ended up being 6. I only had one alcoholic drink throughout the night, and that was, I believe, I attempted to get their drink special apple cider mule, but I think I ended up getting maybe a mule with some apple juice or something like that. Something apple flavored. Either way, it was pretty good. I like mules. Regardless, it just felt like getting one of their drink specials. And I enjoy the ginger beer. And whatnot in mules. And I like how in places they come in copper cups. I think the copper cups look pretty cool. Earlier today, at around noon, I decided to make a double portion of ramen with a Wegmans portion of real garlic lemon flavored chicken, if I recall correctly, that I heated in the microwave after I finished microwaving the double noodle portion of ramen, which I did for the same 6 minutes that I did for a single portion because the amount of water required stayed roughly the same, which was 3 cups, which I got from the same container as yesterday. Basically a graduated cylinder that can hold 3 cups. I put in both packets of chicken flavored seasoning. Which probably caused it to contain an absurd amount of salt. And initially I had thoughts of also cutting up the 2 mild cheddar cheese sticks and putting them in with the ramen, but I ultimately decided against doing that. Excuse me, early on I also had thoughts of putting in some of our broccoli into the ramen, but I decided against that too. I had those thoughts, I think, just as I started microwaving the noodles in the water. During the morning, afternoon, and I think early evening hours, I did some work here and there on the personal project, completing the shading for the front of the skull mask, and doing some work on the sides of that skull mask. Which included using a medium hue ultrafine Sharpie marker of gray to make some new stress lines on the right side of that skull mask. Ultimately, it's kind of more of a bandana that'll ultimately extend into a scarf, but I haven't quite gotten to the scarf part yet. Though when I do, I'm not entirely sure how I'll show stress lines for it. I remember during the first hours of today that I ate essentially most of a box of sort of Rice Krispie treats, only they weren't by the Rice Krispie brand. I think they were rice treats with peppermint seasoning on them that I think were from Christmas. But despite them being that old, I think they were just a bit stale, and they still tasted pretty good. The whole experience with starting the Frankenstein's Monster polystyrene head project reminded me why I organized my Sharpie markers into ultimately a marker satchel in the first place. It wastes time having to dig through a bag containing a whole bunch of Sharpie markers in order to find the exact color and tip of Sharpie that you feel you need for a project, where if it's all organized in a satchel, you can pretty much find the color and tip you need for your projects right away. So I'm thinking maybe tomorrow I'll most likely do that. And then maybe I'll draw on that polystyrene cup I have in my room, a sort of jack-o'-lantern. For our upcoming Halloween party. I started crafting that because of an earlier task set, but this is my current task set. And I've just got to get some more room at my elemental settlement.